Hey guys, Nicole here with Obscure Reptiles and Caging, and today we're going to be going over bearded dragon morphs. So let's get started. Hey guys, for those of you who do not know, bearded dragons come in several different morphs. It's really just a mutation in the color or pattern or both of an animal. So, for example, I've showed you guys before, ball pythons can have all different colors. I'll post a bunch right here. They can have a whole bunch of different colors. They're the exact same animal. They just have different morphs about them. One of the most common mutations in their DNA just so happens to be their colors and patterns, which makes all of them look super different, and you can pretty much get just about any color, and all of them have a completely different price range as well. So we're going to go over some of the most basic morphs, a couple that are a little bit more high-end, but we're going to go over some of the basics so you guys can learn, especially if you're new to bearded dragons. To start off, a regular, normal, or what they like to call wild-type bearded dragon can really range based on where they're from. They're from Australia, and based on what kind of surroundings, they tend to look a little bit different. They can be more browns, more subtle. I'm going to post a picture here. This is one we had named Spiky, and she's just a normal bearded dragon. One of the mutations of bearded dragons is the texture of their skin. Like the one we just showed you, that is just a normal old bearded dragon. But there are things called leatherback. This is some photos of leatherbacks. They actually have much smoother skin. Their spikes are much less, even around their face and on their back. It's actually pretty smooth to the touch, and these are called leatherbacks. That's another mutation. And if you breed two leatherbacks together, which is never recommended, you can get things called silkbacks, which actually have no scales. You don't want to do this because those dragons, they normally do not thrive very well. They can, but they're going to need a lot of extra care, and it's just really not fair for that animal, especially if you ever wanted to breed, because they could get scratched up by another dragon. They have problems, especially with shedding, stuff like that. Most people don't recommend silkbacks. But you can breed a normal to a leatherback, and you'll get half normals, half leatherback. But I would not recommend breeding two leatherbacks together to create those silkbacks, or silkies as they're sometimes called. Now, one of the more common morphs is called a hypo, which stands for hypomelanistic. Basically, a hypo is a lot lighter in color. We're going to show you Blanche. She is a hypo. She's also het wero. We'll get into that. But she is a hypo. The way you can really tell a hypo, not only from the lighter colors, they normally have no dark colors, no blacks, and their nails are completely clear or mostly clear. Bearded dragons generally have black toenails. I'll try to find a picture of another one of ours that is not hypo, so you can see their toenails, but they have very clear toenails. They're very light in color, and this is a hypo. Another very common gene is trans, which stands for translucent. A trans will have actually a clear belly. One of the other videos we did, I'll put it in the description below, it was a baby hatchling care guide. One of the babies we held up and showed the belly and showed how it was translucent and showed how different that baby looks. Another really easy way to tell a trans is they're going to normally be brighter in color, and also they have like pitch black eyes. They're actually a really dark brown if you look closely, but they look pretty much pitch black, the whole eye. There's no pupil, anything like that. I'll try to find pictures or take good pictures of ours to get that close to be able to show you guys, but they will have, instead of a normal pupil with a light brown eye, it pretty much looks like they're pure black, so it's really easy to spot a trans or a hypo also. We actually have a baby right now. I will try to get some good footage of the little one. It just hatched the other day, so we're trying to get it eating well, but it's a hypo and a trans. So I'll try to get some footage if I can before uploading this of that little one. Hopefully it's eating by then, but you can see the clear nails, the translucent belly, and the black eyes. One of the most popular bearded dragons by far is the Zero. Now, here's Gramps, our Zero. They can range from almost pure white to kind of almost like a brown gray. Normally they're more gray than brown, but you can get them to be pure white if you breed and have hypo Zeros. Like I said, hypo takes away all the dark colors. So if you get a baby that is a hypo Zero, it is going to be crystal clear, pure white, and that's how you know you have a hypo Zero. And again, the nails will be clear. So by knowing what traits each of these simple genes, you kind of understand when you see them together. For example, when you see a trans hypo, you know easily by the black eyes, clear nails. But you have to learn these smaller, simpler genes to be able to identify more complicated genes later on. There is a lower priced animal that's close to a Zero, but they're much more brown and it's called a Witblit. They are basically the same thing as the Zero. They have no pattern on them, just like the Zero, but they're definitely more on the brown side. Something that's super rare that I've never even been able to see in person, they have paradox bearded dragons. I'll try to find somewhere some really nice photos, but it basically looks like you took random colors and just splatted it on the dragon. Paradox bearded dragon can have minimal color, so you really can't even tell, to some that are crazy. I'll try to find some crazy gene ones to put up here. But paradoxes are very, very expensive, and they're not very common because it's pretty hard to get that genetics, especially locally. But those are very awesome, again, very high-end animals, but you can find them. Another mutation is called a blue bar. We're going to put some pictures up right here. A blue bar is basically exactly what it sounds like. A bearded dragon will have bars of color. Normally, it almost looks like how a tiger's pattern would be. It kind of wraps around, but it doesn't go onto their stomach. It's called a blue bar. You can have some that are very, very high-end. And you can also have some that are super low quality with very minimal blue. To keep in mind, if you're ever purchasing or you're breeding and you have babies, it takes quite a few weeks to a few months to see what they're actually going to look like. Like right here, I'll put a picture. This is one of the hatchlings we had. Great looking baby, but this is it only 6 months later. So it went from, it kind of looked like a citrus. I believe this was a hypo. I'll know and I'll put it down here if it is. I can't remember offhand, but this is it only a few months later. The citrus and the blue bars were insane on that baby, but you have to keep them at least a couple of months to find out what they truly are. So buying a baby bearded dragon, like let's say if you get a red, here's a picture of a little baby red we got. Her name is Little Red, and this is her now. Total difference, way brighter red, way deeper reds, but you don't know until they're older. So a lot of times when you get a baby, people aren't very impressed with the color and the pattern. Sometimes you got to give it a little bit of time to see what they truly are. Now, a citrus bearded dragon, that's also pretty common. It gives you very nice yellows. This is a boy we had. He was a citrus blue bar. He was also a hypo, and he was also het trans. So he had super bright yellows, and because of the hypo, it really amplified the yellows and it made the blue stand out. And because he was a leatherback rather than a normal scale, you can see the colors even better, which just made him really pop and made him a very bright, awesome looking animal. So if you're looking for something super bright, I would always recommend going towards something with hypo in it because it's really going to amplify the colors. And if it's a leatherback, you're going to be able to see the color even better because the skin is so smooth. It's just a lot brighter of an animal. Another fairly common dragon, like we were just talking about, are reds. You can get them in all different colors. There are ones called, I believe they're called devil reds or monster reds. Again, I'll put it below. But they are insane. A specific line that mostly comes actually from like China, and they're working on it in Mexico right now. But these things are insane. They are almost black and red, minimal patterns and colors, but they just look awesome. So reds can really have a wide range. You can get some that look blood red, some that look bright red, and they can really range in their color and pattern. And pretty much every single gene we just talked about could be combined with another one. Sometimes when it comes to like zero, because there's no pattern and minimal color, you won't really be able to tell what exactly is in that animal other than hypo and trans. But you really need to know what the adult is that you're breeding or what the parents were of the baby you're buying to be able to figure it out. Things like blue bar, trans, hypo, those things are very easy to identify quickly by looking at them. But sometimes, for example, like a citrus, it's going to be a little bit difficult to identify, especially in a younger animal, and it's, for example, a normal scale, so it's kind of hard to see those bright yellows until they age. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in this video already. The word het, or heterozygous, means that an animal carries the genetics. The easiest way to explain it is, for example, if you take two normals together and they breed, all the babies are normal. But if you take a hypo trans, put it to a normal, all the babies are going to look normal, but they're going to be now het hypo and het trans. When something is het, it just carries the genetics. Not all genes can be hets. Depends on if they're codom, dominant, recessive, all that type of stuff. We can break that down completely in a genetics video, but for right now, just to get you guys started, if somebody says this baby dragon is het 0, that means he doesn't look 0, but if bred to a 0, you will produce 50% of the babies is the average to get actual zeros. For any of you guys who know anything like ball pythons, it's the same thing. If you breed a normal to a pied, all the babies are going to look normal, but they're going to carry the genetics for pied. So that way if you bred, let's say, 2 het pieds together, some babies will be normal still, but some will come out pied. It's the same thing for bearded dragons. I hope that wasn't too confusing for anyone. I'm going to do my best to find a lot of different pictures and put some clips from our dragons and other dragons to be able to show you guys so it's a little bit easier to understand. But that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, please let me know and put them in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We do new videos every single Wednesday, and I'll see you next Wednesday.